Welcome back to R-Type Final 2. I have one last video for you for now, because at this point we have completed all of the main stages. As I said before, there are 7 stages, actually a little few more than 7 stages, in the main course, and then all of the homage stages, of which there are the X, Y, and Z courses. Last time we finished up the Z, so that is all of them. There is still just a bit more to do, though, on top of the gallery, if you want to go about collecting all of the pieces in the gallery, of which at this point I have most of them. There's also the Bido Lab, if you want to complete this up. Which, again, at this point, I have every element at least in here, which will at least tell you where to go to see it again, if you want to go back and complete all of the images. There's then the things you can buy in the shop, for all of the money that we've made, of which most of this I have already bought. Oh, it's because there's alternates. I was wondering, like, why did it show something? And other little oddball tits and bits that you can... tidbits that you can put up, beside your character, in your... Where is that? Here. So, more stuff if you want to go around unlocking, grinding for points, and whatnot. But the last major thing right now is the competition section, which I mentioned at the very beginning of this stage, that this is something that was still being worked on. You can see this feature will be available to play in the next update, and that goes into competition, where, you cannot do this yet playing alongside other players. However, you can at least play the stages. So that's what we're going to be looking at today, are these 2 stages. And for both of them, I'm going to be playing on practice, because I'm here for completion's sake, I'm not worried about anything else, and I'm using my R99. So we're even given a warning at the start of this stage, telling us just how long it is, and that there are no checkpoints. These are score attack stages, so you have to get beginning to end all in one go, because checkpoints, using them, dying them, would erase your score anyway. If you can't make it all the way to the end, then that's all the higher your score can get. I was originally under the impression that these stages went on forever, but no, they are actually limited. There is a size to them. And that size you can see in the upper right-hand corner. That is a tracker for how far we are through the current stage. Just rounding around 500 out of 8,300. A winning run of these stages takes about 15 minutes. Moment to moment, they're not terribly hard, so it's more a matter of endurance, though there are some sketchy points here and there. To start out, I am taking advantage of, because you start with no power-ups, though I'm playing on practice, so I started with the very basic force. I did start out by abusing the wave cannon's double piercing ability on 2 charges to take care of some of the cannon that was on the wrong side of the wall and the shielded enemies that you could not hurt from the front. The wave cannon can take care of those because at 2 charges it pierces. And that's something I'm going to use a couple times. Periodically through the stage, around the times you think you would get a checkpoint, they instead just give you a flat prize. Like, here, have some R coins, or some of the other various currencies. So right here, hang back at the very start, because there are 3 or 4 of these that come in the top and bottom. Once those are clear, then they're all streaming in the next little section, top and bottom, so you can move down to the bottom route to clear them out. They will eventually end. Same thing in the second room. They will eventually end. Skip forward to the next little bit here, where we can clear out the next bunch. The top will end, but not the bottom. I wait until I fire a missile, and so the explosion can take care of them for a moment, while I skip ahead to the next area and hang back here, killing them with my force. These ships are the Bido ships, or virtual representations of the Bido ships, which means that their forces can be destroyed much easier than one of the human forces. Kill all of them, hang back on the far left of the screen if you need to kill all of them, so that's not even a worry. Those can only be hurt when you can hit the core of them, though a level 2 charge will also take them out with this beam, which is the Giga Wave Cannon. Some small breakable blocks, but nothing really in the way. Some more Bido R9s. These, again, can be destroyed fairly easily. So of the 2 score attack stages, I consider this one more difficult than the other one. It may be that this one expects more precision out of you, whereas the other one expects more firepower out of you. Force on the back to take care of the Bido ships, and then flip around again. I'm going to go ahead and grab yellow, because yellow with this force is very good, especially in this stage. This section gets a little dicey, because these little orbs, when they get close enough to you, will transform into R9s, and then curve and try to fly at you. The first one is easy enough, because they stop coming eventually, but they will continue coming in every one after that. So you have to wait until it's free, and then just do a little dance around them. You kind of bait them to one side, and then loop around them. If you've ever dodged a Revenant missile in Doom 2, it's a similar process. Once you can get out of the way of them, once you're far enough away, they no longer shape change to come after you. So once you can get into the next room, you're reasonably safe. A couple orbs will actually pass through the barriers there, but it's still easy enough just to clear them out. Once you see this red show up, start charging up your beam. Do not get the red, we're keeping yellow because yellow is very powerful. Another power armor falls down, not killing him. As soon as I see some of the cannons, the bright green cannons, I wait for my cannon to charge up one more layer and then fire the charge shot. That'll destroy not only the cannons, but the ship itself. There may be a delay before the ship actually dies. I believe, I've not seen it personally, but I believe the weak spot on the ship is on the upper half on the front of the ship. So your charge beam, if you fire the charge beam on the lower half of the ship, it will not kill it. If you fire it on the upper half, it has to travel all the way to the front before it'll destroy it. But the wave cannon and its piercing ability being able to destroy that ship makes that whole section kind of a non-issue, where I feel like it would have been a lot more complicated otherwise. More of these mirror ships, which our yellow could destroy, as well as our Balmung missile. Now these are the flippy guys, which thankfully our yellow can take care of them pretty easily. Blue is also a reasonably good choice in this stage, but not nearly as good as yellow. Now those red guys will actually continue to show up, even in when you think you're done and they're not spawning anymore. So you kind of want to hang back a little bit. Thankfully, that delayed Balmung missile took care of the back one, but usually he can't make it around that corner anyway. These moving blocks can only be destroyed from the back, which is not exact. Well, the red ones can only be destroyed from the back, which is not exactly conducive to you getting through. So I charge up at least 2 stages of the charge, so I can charge shot and destroy them with the wave cannon. I usually do that once at the very beginning, and then I have to dodge and do the little dance in the middle, which isn't too hard. They won't do anything unexpected there. And then again, I use the charge beam on the second half. Now we get this far in, and we've finally gained our first bit. Also, destroy as many segments of this guy as soon as possible. They will shoot at you, and it will be very difficult to dodge. Once you destroy all the segments, he leaves, though. He doesn't do anything unexpected or complicated. Here we have these cubes that move, and they actually land and start stacking up. They can be destroyed even when they're doing that, though. But it does lead you to want to keep destroying them so they stay out of the way. As soon as you can move ahead, though, you're safe for now. Though be aware that some horizontal moving cubes try to get in there just as you're trying to squeeze in. Still more coming, not terribly complicated to deal with yet. Now these cannot be destroyed, these will be solid, so you simply have to watch the pattern, which is a consistent pattern. Obvious pattern, it's not anything complicated. So you just have to dodge through them to make your way over. Now here is where yellow very much comes in handy, being able to destroy these cannons on the wrong side. And this is especially important here, because we want to move ahead as soon as we reasonably can, because the weird-shaped things will continue chasing us. And I just do some fancy dodging here, and I have no idea how I didn't die. Because there is so much coming from every angle. I feel like it would have been better to put my force on the back at some point there, but I'm not sure how I would have done that dance. I got lucky. Another of the flippy guys, but our yellow takes care of him fairly easily. These little guys crawling out can be very big problems. Yellow took care of the flippy guy, so we don't have to worry about him. But the guys crawling out continue crawling out for much longer than they have any right to. And this is another situation where putting the force on the back probably would have helped to continue taking care of them behind you. I just did some fancy dodging and got a little lucky. We're dealing with a lot of mechanics kind of at the same time here, but as long as you can dodge past the cubes, you don't have to worry about them anymore. And as long as you're in a good position to not be so far ahead that the door guys can actually hit you, then you can squeeze kind of between there and use the yellow to take them out. As soon as you can, squeeze through the gate, and you're safe for now. We've finally gained our second bit. Just in time for what is effectively the finale, which is more of these ships, in much more confined locations. However, the same issue is present as before, which is that you can charge shot them. Charge up to probably 3 levels in order to take them out. I try to get 3 anyway. And be careful, because the back engines will fire, which will kill you if you get back in there. A safer bet is to destroy the first row of cannons and get in the little spot on the top of the ship. We're very close to the end, but not quite done yet. And though I was a bit scared because I had not seen the end of this before, this is your finale. This is your grand celebration. Grab your juice. Every one of these gives you a reasonable amount of score. So this is your score reward for beating the stage. Not a difficult stage, but again, remember, if I died in that last little segment, that's a 14-minute turnaround. It's a score attack, though. Your goal is to not just beat the stage, but get as high a score as you can. Not much of a score attack if it's just a short challenge stage. So let's take a look at R2, Strongest Pilot, Stage 2. This one I do not think is as hard as the other one. There are some setups you have to fly your way through, but mostly I think good firepower can get you through these stages. I really enjoy both of these stages, though. They're both more classic R-Type, which I think is more fitting for being a score attack stage. So these little pink canisters, when you destroy, will have a little green sphere inside with a star in it. Those are score points. All they do is give you score. These blue tanks fire out a rather unpleasant shot if you let them live long enough to do it. And this early on, they are going to be kind of a pain to deal with. Simply because they have a lot of health. Once you get your fully charged force, though, your fully powered up force, they will go down without too much concern. I was debating even grabbing the blue because I really wanted yellow, but I wanted a fully powered force more than I wanted yellow. With the first set there, you do have to squeeze in the middle. Not terribly difficult. And start firing again on the second half to take care of the enemy spawners. Going over the top is probably easier because you're moving with the rotation, but there's space for you that you could go either way without worry. Even here, between these two, there is space for a ship. So as long as you don't move up or down, you can squeeze right between them, which puts you in a good position to take care of the big machine that kind of pops its head out. Few small cannons, nothing too bad to worry about yet. This is a branch in the path. You can either take the top route or the bottom route. Depending on what you want, the top route will give you an easier route with power-ups, but the bottom route will give you score. I think it's an interesting trade-off, though if you were going for the top score, you would just always take the score route. There wouldn't be a point in continuing if you didn't take the score route. I'm only playing for survival, though. I don't care about score, so I'm taking the easy route that gives me power-ups. After the spinny thing, there is another branch. Take the bottom path to, again, get more power-ups. Top path for score. That many enemies is kind of spooky, but they die so easily that you just get... It's free score. Don't worry about it. I mentioned those blue tanks and how they can be kind of spooky early on. We just killed one. It was barely on the screen. Once you're fully powered, it's not a challenge at all. A lot of very small ships on the bottom, but that quickly gives way to another large snake boy. This is the guy from Delta Stage 1, but colored red this time. Destroy his segments as fast as you can, but if you can destroy that centerpiece, then the whole thing dies, and you don't have to worry about him anymore. I've never not killed him on that first rotation. I do not know what happens. He may just fly off, and then you never see him again. You missed your chance at score. As far as score is concerned, I know a lot of shmups have very complicated scoring rules and way to get chains and things to even increase your score even more. To my knowledge, R-Type does not have any complicated scoring systems. Kill as much as you can, collect as much as you can. I'm probably wrong, but to my knowledge, that's it. So these are the blocks that we've seen before that actually push out, blocking off your way and potentially killing you if you're in the way. None of them are blue, so at first I didn't think any of them were going to come out. But some will. What you want to do is hang around about the center of the screen. They will come out in front of you. And once they're out, there's not too much to worry about. If you're worried about being able to squeeze between two blocks vertically and not die, as long as you don't full speed fly into it, you can actually let your force kind of butt up against one, and it will prevent you from pushing into it more. We've got our fuller powered yellow shot now as well, so almost anything that comes around isn't trouble for us at all. Also keep in mind you can lower your speed if you want more precise controlling. For both of these, I've kept my speed on 3. Though I think once or twice, probably in failed runs, I have bumped it up to 4 just to really quick get somewhere. There's our blue tanks again. At this point, I would suggest turning your force around to face the other direction so you can take care of them very quickly. There are still ships that are going to be flying in on the front, but they don't do a lot that's dangerous. I don't know if... I think the red ones may shoot at you, but otherwise they're not much of a threat. Another segment where you just have to squeeze between them. These also block shots, so taking care of the cannons on the other side is a bit tricky. Thankfully, the Balmung missile just kind of cleared house for us. So here we're going to start seeing the rotating turrets from one of the Leo stages. And we're going to be interacting with these probably a lot more than we interacted with them in the Leo stage. As long as you stay in the very center, there's a much smaller chance of actually getting hit by them. You will usually have destroyed them by the time they get there. And if they're on the back end side, they will usually be blocked by something. Some more turrets. Hidden away, they would normally be kind of a challenge to take care of, but with this yellow especially, they just die. Blue would be pretty good at taking them out, but you would have to do more precise aiming. Putting the force on the back just to deal with them real quick. I didn't see any threats to my front. Now that there is a threat on my front, I should probably be putting my force around again. These cannons can be scary. As soon as you see a group of them, I pull back some, so I can see that yellow shot if it makes its way out of my Balmung explosion. Usually the one that's right in front of you and the one that's likely to kill you will melt, so the other ones aren't a big threat. And if you have yellow, then they'll just take them out. If you're here with blue or red, you are still going to want to just almost not move until the one in front of you is dead, pay attention for the yellow shots, and then slowly take care of the ones that you feel safe taking out. So some of these fighters will show up from the back of the screen, but they move far enough forward that you can kind of sneak behind them and still hit them without having to flip your force around. Finally gained our second bit. Another split path. This one I do not think matters, really, whether you take the top or bottom. The bottom may have given more score, because I think the only thing I saw on the top was that one blue tank. Tried to flip my force around to take care of the two remaining bots on the bottom, but they left. I wasn't sure if they were going to keep harassing me or not. More blue tanks coming in from back. I would flip your force around at this point because there's a couple of them. Managed to take them out, though, just with the bits. We're very close to the end, but we're not done yet. These turrets are in even worse positions now, but thankfully the Balmung missile can take them out. Otherwise, you would want to flip your force around. Some more of the yellow tanks, which is the same deal as before. Take out ones you're comfortable taking out. More of the Leo turrets. Once you can take care of a couple of them and get in the center, you are considerably safer. more of these pushers. Now these pushers you kind of want to be in front of, and there are not a lot in the way of enemies coming here. So I advise just pushing really far forward on the right. And if you're too far back, they will block you off entirely. And that's our victory. You see the counter in the corner isn't completely full, but it ticks up as soon as you get that congratulations. So that's that. And that brings R-Type Final 2 to a close. There's been a couple, I don't know if I want to say questions, but questions, concerns, and comments in the chat over the course of this series. And one of which is, perhaps, is the game too difficult for casual play? And for one, keep in mind that I've been playing on harder difficulties, like even just normal. In some cases, harder than that. You can play through on practice mode, if you want. And playing through on practice mode will not only make the game easier, it'll give you a level 1 force just right there from the start, and it gives you access to slow mode. So if you just want to play for completion, that is an option. On top of that, there are the things that you can buy in the shop, such as the one that keeps your power-ups after you die. That said, R-Type, by its very nature, is not an easy game. It never really has been. There's a lot of emphasis on you playing it multiple times to get better at it, to get practiced in it. And you almost have to go into this knowing that it's not going to be yeah, just sit down and knock it out. That's sort of the point of the game. Admittedly, that's not something I'm the most fond of. Usually, I just want to play the game and have a good time. And we've found ways to go about that. And also showing off slightly harder difficulties in the process. Another question that I got was, will I be doing R-Type Final 3? And recall what I said earlier in the very first episode of the series, which is that R-Type Final 3 is not really another game. All R-Type Final 3 is R-Type Final 2 with 7 additional stages made for console. And that's it. It's kind of the final version of R-Type Final 2, if that makes any sense. It has all the DLC and everything in it. It's one complete package, and then they added in the 7 additional stages. So it's not so much will I do R-Type Final 3, but will I show off those 7 stages? And in that regard, as soon as they make their way to PC, I will absolutely show them off. When will that happen? I'm not really sure. That aside, though, there's not really anything else for me to show off in the game right this second. And as far as R-Type Final 2 goes, I've already mentioned, love the game. I actually really enjoy everything that they've done with this game, because a lot of R-Type, for me, is that there is the older style, with more complex level layouts, more dense enemy layouts. And then there's the newer style, which is longer and drawn out and more emotional as you work your way through the stages. And this game has both types in it, which I think is amazing. And part of that is also with the homage stages. It lets them do that, but it also lets them be creative and mix up some things here and there. Do something new. A lot of what I enjoy of the series is how much variety there is. And that sometimes you're going through a mechanical base that's been taken over by the Bido. Sometimes you're going through an organic nightmare scape that is the Bido. And sometimes you're fighting other humans, because humans are pretty good at wanting to kill each other. And you get all of that in here. Especially when my favorite aspect of R-Type is the mood, the environment, that almost Geiger-esque organic nonsense. And you absolutely get that in here too. I think Final 2 has done pretty much everything that I would want out of this. I really cannot think of anything else that I'm really aching for. Possibly because I know in Final 1 there was a showcase mode that you punch in a code or whatever and it just makes you invincible for the stage. I think it would be interesting if there were a mode like that like zeroed your score. So you cannot have score, but you can at least see what is going on in the game. Kind of like a practice mode plus, if you would. That's about all I think I have to say, though. There were a few speed bumps along the way, and that is where everyone is human. I used to think that, I shouldn't hold fan games to the same standards as corporate games. So if I'm playing through a fan game of something, I will allow myself more, save states or whatever to get through it. Because they can't guarantee the same level of quality. But corporate games are the same way, really. I don't think you should ever hold yourself to what someone else considers okay. You draw the line where you think it is fit. And playing through this, I personally think the vast majority of it was great. Phenomenal. There were a few speed bumps, and I will say, I think it'd be nice if they could do something about that, though I'm not entirely sure what would help the most in some situations. But with all that all said and done, this has been R-Type Final 2. Thank you very much for keeping me company on this journey. Until next time, everyone.